The town called Stonehaven orphanage the Grey Lady, a hulking edifice of SOOT-stained stone. It brooded on the cliffs over, looking the churning North Sea, abandoned for 50 years after a fire claimed 7 children and their stern matron. Agnes Marrow, locals whispered, of figures in upper windows, of cold spots on the cliff path, and a rhythmic thump, thump, thump echoing on stormy nights. Leo, a documentary filmmaker, chasing the macabre for ratings, saw only potential. He ignored the warnings, the stories of cameras malfunctioning and crew members fleeing in terror. He saw tragedy, yes, but mostly he saw views. He secured permission from a distant, disinterested trust for a single night inside with his small crew. Maya, the skeptical Xiang-Tek and Ben, the jittery cameraman. They entered at dusk. The air inside wasn't just cold, it was still thick with dust and the scent of old smoke and damp. Whoa, their footsteps echo, yet like gunshots in the cavernous debris strewn foyer, paint-peeled legacy ABS from walls scarred by fire. Ben's powerful light cut through the gloom, revealing skeletal staircases and doorways leading into deeper darkness. Place gives me the creeps, Ben muttered, his camera already whirring. Atmosphere, Ben, atmosphere, Leo grinned, adjusting his headlamp. This is gold. They started in the dormitories. Small, iron-framed beds stood in rows, some twisted by the fire sheet. Maya said, up her sensitive microphones. Hear that? She whispered, suddenly pale. A faint, rhythmic thump-thump. Thumps seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. Distant but insistent. Parts Leo dismissed, though echo unrelated to the temperature crept down his spine, or the wind against the shutters. But there were no shutters left. As they descended into the basement, the laundry and boiler room, the epicenter of the fire, the atmosphere thickened. The thumping grew louder, clearer. It sounded less like pipes now, more like something heavy being dragged. The air grew frigid, their breath booming visibly in the beams of air. Lights. Maya's audio equipment began to crackle and whine with interference. Ben panned his camera across massive, rusted boilers and deep stone sinks. The light caught movement near a far wall. Did you see that? He hissed, his voice tight. Something white over by the mango. Leo squinted. Nothing. Your eyes playing tricks. Ben, keep rolling. Then Maya screamed, not loud, but a choked gasp of pure terror. She pointed her microphone boom towards the ceiling. Above them, clinging spider, like to the blackened egg brickwork, was a figure. It was unnaturally thin, dressed in the tattered remnants of a grey woolen dress. Its skin was the color of ash, stretched toward over sharp bones. Its eyes were deep, empty sockets. But Leo felt its gaze lock onto him with paralyzing intensity. It moved with a jerky, unnatural speed, skittering sideways across the ceiling like an insect. Ben fumbled the camera light, swinging wildly. We reliving now. But the door that entered through, a heavy, iron-bound thing, slammed shut with a force that shook the room. Dust rained down. The thump, thump-thump became deafening, shaking the floor beneath their feet. It was coming from the corridor beyond the closed door. The figure on the ceiling dropped silently to the floor, landing with a boneless grace that was horrifying. It unfolded itself to its full skeletal height, taller than any man. It took a step towards them, and the temperature plummeted. Ice crystals formed on Ben's camera lens. Matron Marrow, Leo breathed, frozen between terror and the absurd desire to capture this. The figure tilted its head. A sound like dry leaves scraping together came from where its mouth should have been. It raised a long, claw-like hand pointing not at them, but towards a large, cast iron mango. That machine used to wring water from laundry. Its rollers were thick with rust and something darker, flaky and brown. Mine, the voice hissed not in their ears, but inside their skulls. It was a chorus of whispers, children's voices, thin and scared, overlaid with the matron's harsh rasp. Ishan. To take them. Mine to mind. Mine to keep. The thumping outside the door intensified. Frantic now. Small, shadowy shapes seemed to flit past the grimy basement window well. Fleeting impressions of small, pale faces pressed against the glass. Eyes wide and terrified. Leo understood. The fire hadn't been an accident. The stories whispered in the town pub, never proven, hinted at Matron Marrow's cruelty, her obsession with order and punishment. The children hadn't just died in the fire. They'd been trapped in the basement, perhaps locked there as punishment. The thumping was the sound of their desperate little fists pounding on the iron door as the fire raged above. Matron Morrow, consumed by the inferno while trying to reach her charges or perhaps hide her crime, had bound her spirit undes to this place. Through her monstrous guilt and possessiveness, she was undaunting Stonehaven. She was still running, trapping the souls of the children even in death. Her warped sense of duty turned into an eternal nightmare. The matron advanced, Ben dropped the camera, scrambling backwards until he hit the cold stone wall. Maya went pale red, pressing her hands over her ears against the psychic onslaught of the children's trapped fear, and the matron's dementia whispers. Mine must keep them clean, must keep them quiet. Leo acted on pure instinct. He didn't reach for the door. He lunged for the massive, rusted lever that engaged the iron mangle. Yes, rollers, it shrieked in protest as he threw his weight against it. The heavy rollers, stained with decades of spectral misery, began to turn with a grinding shriek that drowned out the thumping. The matron shrieked, a sound of pure, outraged fury that scrapped their mind's rule. She lunged, not at Leo, but towards the mangle, her form blurring. As she reached the grinding rollers, she seemed to unravel, her tattered grey dress snagging on the rusted metal. The spectral fabric tore, not silently, but with a horrific, weird-ripping sound. The children's frantic thumping stopped abruptly. For a split second, Leo saw them, 7 faint, translucent shapes, small and ragged, clustered near the now silent door. Their faces, no longer terrified, held a look of bewildered surprise. Then, like smoke caught in a sudden draft, they swirled upwards, fragmented, and vanished. The matron's form was tangled in the mangle. Yes, mechanism, her furious shriek, dissolved into agony, bubbling moan of anguish and denial. My children, my duty. The grinding roller simmered to pull her substance apart, scattering it like ash. The oppressive cold lifted, replaced by a sudden, stale warmth. The iron door groaned, and swung open on its own, revealing the empty corridor beyond. Ben didn't hesitate. He grabbed Maya, who was sobbing silently, and hauled her towards the door. Leo, his hands shaking, snatched up the still recording camera. Its lens cracked but functional. He took one last look back. The mangle was still, only dust mites danced in the beam of his head lamp. The figure was gone. They ran. They didn't stop running until they were in their van, speeding down the cliff road. The documentary aired. Leo showed the footage. The oppressive darkness, the strange audio interference, the slammed door, the chilling cold captured by thermal imaging, and the final, chaotic shot of the mangle's lever being thrown. He told a story of poltergeists, of residual energy. He didn't mention the figure on the ceiling, the voices in his head, or the fleeting shapes of the children. The network loved it, ratings soared, but Leo kept the unedited tapes on them. In the shaky footage just before Ben dropped the camera was a brief, horrifyingly clear shot of the ashen face with the empty sockets, inches from the lens, its mouth open in that silent, skull-splitting shriek. And sometimes, late at night when the wind howls off the sea, Leo swears he can still hear it beneath the gale, a faint rhythmic thump, thump-thump followed by the distant, grinding shriek of rusted iron. He knows Matron Morrow isn't gone, scattered. Perhaps we're cleaned. But Stonehaven was her life, her prison, and her kingdom. She's still there, gathering the dark, waiting for the next keeper to fail, waiting for more children to mind.